What was the moment you realized that you shouldn't have showed up to a date? She pulled out her iPad and starts trying to sell me insurance. While perusing the menu, he asked what I was going to get. I said, I'm thinking about, and he cut me off to say they don't have 'em here. I chuckled and continued, so I think I'll have the chicken. He responded seriously with a raised voice, they don't have chicken here either, and shook his head like I was annoying. I just stared at him for a minute. Edit, fixed perusing. He about to not have a second date. What a tool. There's no second date here. That time when I walked into the restaurant where I was meeting that doctor I met online, and he was there wearing a white lab coat. To dinner or first, and last, date? Yes. Hello. It is I, medical doctor date guy. You can tell by the doctor coat I am wearing. Get out of here, Zoidberg. I told her I had been in the military. She told me she had been engaged to 3 different guys in the military. Well, LLP, she definitely had a type. He told me to meet him at a bar, which turned out to be a hole in the wall in a strip mall, literally just a bar, no food, just booze. We were supposed to be having dinner. I had put in some effort with a cute outfit, nice makeup, etc. He showed up in ratty old jeans and a paint-splattered hoodie. That was the moment that made me think, oh, this is gonna be bad, but he'd already caught me, so we sat down and the bartender immediately put a pint glass vodka tonic in front of him before even asking what I wanted. Clearly he was a regular. We tried to make small talk, but he was just so ducking weird. He was cutting me off mid-sentence with random nonsense, buddy punching me on the arm, and kept hurrying me to finish my drink so I could keep up with him. He was slamming these pints of vodka tonic, one after the other, and the bartender kept coming. I finished my one light beer, paid for my drink, which offended him deeply, and got up to leave. He chugged his last drink, threw a $100 bill on the bar, and followed me into the parking lot. I tried to get away politely and he interrupted with, come back to my place, I fuck like a freight train. I stumbled over my no thank you, and before I'd finished the sentence he got into his car, started the engine, and screeched out of the parking lot, almost getting it onto 2 wheels on the turn. There were some interesting characters back in the early days of online dating. 2004 was like the Wild West. As a woman, I'm not sure that I want to be ducked like a freight train, or by a drunk one at that. I dated this girl who was a friend of a friend. She used to come into the pub I worked at for $10 steak night with her mom and a guy who we weren't sure if was her boyfriend or brother. Turned out it was her brother, but they were weirdly close. Anyway, we went on a date. She seemed quite uncomfortable the whole time. Didn't make much conversation, just obviously wasn't into it, so I dropped her home, and she asked me if I wanted to come in. Against my better judgment I did. They had 2 couches in the living room. I sat on one awkwardly, while she laid on the other couch and spooned with her brother. At this point I realized I should not have shown up. Every time she left the pub from then on in, her and her brother left holding hands. Do you know if they were actually brother-sister or some F-buddy? Definitely brother and sister. Mutual friend confirmed it. Oof, that's messed up. When she responded to hi on Tinder with something like, hey cutie, wanna come to my parents' house? Not really a date, honestly, but a good story. We chatted for a bit, and according to her she wasn't looking for anything serious, but she wanted me to pick her up, take her out to dinner, and maybe have sex afterwards. Very transactional, which kinda stung, but whatever, she was hot. I looked up the address she gave me and was surprised to find a neighborhood I did work in, and that the house was one I knew was for sale. Specifically, the owner died and it was being gutted to be resold by his kids. At this point 100% convinced this was a scam, but somewhat curious, I decided to drive by and see if anyone was there, texting her I was coming, but in a different type of car. Really expensive neighborhood, on a sea cliff, felt like an adventure. Took my work truck. Drove by and some huge dude comes out of the house, stares at my truck, and goes back in. Could see other people inside. Noped out of there super fast. Pretty convinced it was a phishing scam to mug me, or a prank. Didn't feel like finding out. This is a common tactic to jump and rob people. It's been in the news, and I've seen personal stories from her Tinder and the likes of first-hand accounts. If a cute girl instantly wants you to come over and duck without knowing anything about you or talking to you, like within the first couple messages, there's a chance you'll get robbed at the very least. He took me on a surprise date, to watch him skateboard. Yay, watched him eat shit for 2 hours, then he pouted dropping me off BC he didn't nail the move. She brought her ex-boyfriend to see if he approved. After he said that, They asked for a three-way. This was not ever mentioned before the date. I was under the impression we were meeting one-on-one. I don't think that's an ex-boyfriend. When the guy that showed up was easily 30 years older than what he looked like in the picture he had sent me. This happened to me once, except it was with a house cleaner. I hired him cause he asked me to online. I thought he was 50. He came out of the car hobbling and couldn't carry his cleaning stuff up my stairs. His daughter called and he had her on speaker. She was screaming, saying an 80-yo man shouldn't be cleaning people's houses. He did such a horrible job cleaning my house. He also left the gas stove running, and if I hadn't noticed the smell, we probably would have blown up. Lol, I felt so bad I panicked, tipped him $30. Note to self, be old, and get money for people feeling sorry for me being old. That counts as a retirement plan, right? When he asked me out and I said yes, he then asked if I'd like to go to dinner and what kind of food I liked. I said anything but sushi. He took me to a sushi place. Said he thought he'd be able to change my mind. Oh God. Personally love sushi, but you don't try to convince someone about sushi on the first date. After all, if you bomb the date, then they'll associate sushi with the poor date. A criminal way to turn them against the path. I picked her up and she said, let's hurry up and go. My husband will be back soon. Don't worry, we're getting divorced, but he won't want to see me on a date. That's a big press X to doubt moment. Edit. Over 7K upvotes. People really like this one. Lol. She was getting divorced soon. Because of that date. I showed up and her best friend was there that I hadn't been warned was coming with us. Then her brother showed up. Then her dad showed up. Then her mom and her 3 cousins aged 3 to 5 showed up. That was the point. I excused myself to bathroom. Thankfully, this is one of those places where the employees will sneak you out if you're having a bad date and need an out, and apparently I'm the first guy they snuck out at that point. This is the kind of car crash date that I really want even more details on. I wish I had more to give you. She told me she was kind of new to dating but would be fine meeting me in a public place. I was given no warning any of these other people were coming, and when they arrived the others each acted as though they were expected. I bailed the moment I could. When she tried to get me in a fight with a stranger. I think she knew the guy. Long story, but I think what she did was an attempt to get him to assault me. She was nuts. Dude, what? Was this supposed to be a test if you're man enough or something? Some people like starting conflicts just for the attention, especially if they're the one being fought about. My old housemate had a girlfriend who was one of those. One day she came over while he was still at work. She suggested we watch a movie to kill a couple hours. This quickly turned into, oh no, the movie is so scary, and trying to initiate cuddles. When I ignored that, she straight up got her boobs out. I told my housemate about it and he was mostly amused that she'd totally failed to pick up that I'm super gay. I guess she got the memo because later she switched tactics and encouraged me to try and sleep with my housemate. He wasn't even into dudes. He was happy to have a playful flirt, but that was as far as it went. And the thing is, I knew that? Because we discussed it like adults when we planned to live together. And had zero tension around the subject as a result. It never occurs to these drama fiends that two people can just have a reasonable conversation and get the non-crazy version of events. When I went on this date with this dude, and he had zero interests. When I tell you zero, I mean it. He didn't watch movies, series, did not listen to music, did not watch TV, didn't have any hobbies, did not have any siblings, any friends, any work, just university studies. He didn't like to cook or clean or even go on walks. It was the most awkward date I have ever been with someone. Edit. Thanks for the comments and the upvotes. Some more context about this guy. He was studying economics, he lived alone and was an unemployed student. We met on Tinder, and both his pictures and our conversation there seems normal. I thought he was just shy. But no, he was the most boring person I have ever met in my life. I am a human with human interests like adding information into myself and completing courses in the education system. Adding information into myself, I will now be using this instead of learning. Information added.